Hello, and thank you for helping us be a Zoom coordinator for advising and registration. This video is meant to give you an idea on how to set up breakout rooms, how to bring people into the main session, and how to move people around inside of the breakout rooms. Let's start by setting up our Teams chat for the day. First, you will want to open the Zoom coordinator instructions, the advising roster, and advisor schedule for the day to see the list of people to add to your Teams chat. You can locate these documents in the A&R handbook. Let's open our schedule and open Teams. On the schedule, you can find your group by locating your name in the Zoom Coordinator ZC box. So I am ZC for Group A today. On the left side of your Teams screen, click the rightmost icon, New Chat, and add the advisors' names who are presenters, support advisors, and academic planning time advisors from the schedule. We will send our good morning message, then begin setting up our Zoom breakout rooms. To create breakout rooms, you will count the number of presenters and the number of people working during academic planning time on the schedule. From left to right, we will need one room for each presenting faculty staff when they move into breakout rooms for academic planning time, the presentation rooms for the ASA and faculty staff, and rooms for the support and academic planning time advisors. In this example, we will need 7 rooms. We also want to add extra rooms in case students need to meet with a flex advisor or troubleshooter. Now let's go back to our Zoom to create the rooms. Towards the bottom of the screen, we have different icons to select. On the bottom right, we will find the Breakout Rooms button that has a cube icon. When I click into this, we can see the Create Breakout Rooms window pop up. First, we will change from Assign Automatically to Assign Manually so that we can assign people to the correct rooms. Next, we will change the amount of rooms. For our example, we said we need 7 rooms, and we will add 2 extra rooms in case they are needed, so 9 rooms total. When we click Create, it brings us to the screen where we can rename our breakout rooms based on how they will function and where to send people. When hovering over the rooms, we can see the option to rename or delete them. Let's click Rename so we can name our rooms. Refer to the schedule to name rooms accordingly. Next, we will click Open All Rooms. Once you have opened the rooms, you cannot add more breakout rooms or rename them, so be sure to have all of the rooms you need before opening the rooms. Now that we have our rooms created, check in the presenting faculty, staff, and ASAs. Going back down to our icons, on the bottom left we can click on Participants. This opens a screen on the right with the list of people in the waiting room. I will start by checking in Nicole, who is our faculty staff advisor for today. You have the option to admit all when there are multiple people in the waiting room, or hover over the individual name and admit Nicole to the main room. You may see someone connecting to audio where their name is located when entering the room. Make sure you don't talk to someone until their audio has connected or they won't be able to hear you. Now that we see Nicole has connected, I can send her into her presentation room. To do this, I will go back down to the Breakout Rooms icon and we can see that Nicole is unassigned in the main session with me. When I hover over her name, I can see the option to Assign To. When I click on this, we can see the different breakout room options. So I'll click A1 Presentation Room where Nicole is giving the presentation. Once she clicks Join on her end, we will see her go into her breakout room. Now let's check in the ASA Mike. I will go back down to the Participants icon and we can see that Mike is in the waiting room. I will admit him, and we will do the same process of clicking into the breakout rooms and assigning Mike to Group A1 as well. We can see both presenters' names have a green circle next to them on the left. This is a way to see who is active in what breakout rooms. You can also see if I hover over either of their names, on the right there is the option to Move To. This is how you change somebody into a different breakout room or bring them back to the main session. This is important for academic planning time when we move the faculty staff presenter into their own room and move students into individual breakout rooms with the advisors. Now that the advisors are in their rooms, I will send a Teams chat to see if they are ready for students. Once I hear they are ready, we can check in our students. So I will click Participants again. There will be many students in the waiting room during A&R, so we can click Admit All and begin moving students into the proper room for their presentation by looking at the roster. Jonah is on our roster here, so he is in the correct Zoom, and we can send him into the presentation room A1. I will go through the same process we just did to get the ASA and faculty staff into the breakout room by admitting the students. Because it will be a group of students on the real A&R day, I will let them know my name and role and that I am working on getting each student checked into the presentation room. I will share that they will receive a pop-up on their screen to join a breakout room and can click Join to enter the presentation room whenever they are ready. Once I send a student from this main session into the breakout room, I will highlight their name green on the roster, indicating that they are in the presentation room. If anyone enters the waiting room late, admit them into the main session and welcome them. Confirm the student name in Zoom is listed on the roster and send a Teams message to Troubleshooting that you have a late arrival. An advisor will give the student a call to talk about next steps unless the student is outside of the US or not able to be reached by phone. If this is the case, move the student into the extra breakout room and an advisor will come to assist them. Before academic planning time and after students are checked in, open the academic planning time tracking document for your advising group and navigate to the tab with the correct session date. Open the roster and schedule for reference. Update academic planning time advisors' names to replace the generic Advisor 1, Advisor 2, etc. in the body of the spreadsheet. This document will be populated with the list of students attending the day's session. The student names will be highlighted in blue. Scroll to the bottom of the roster and unhighlight and strike through the names of any students who are no-shows for the morning session. Now let's pretend that the presentation is wrapping up. We will start to see the advisors helping during academic planning time, APT, trickle in. We will admit them and get them into the correct breakout rooms. Once the presenters let you know that they are done the presentation, the faculty staff advisors should be moved into their individual breakout rooms for academic planning time. You will need to have the academic planning time spreadsheet, Teams chat, and roster open. If you did not add the academic planning time and support advisors to the Teams chat in the morning, make sure to add them to the Teams chat now. Once we hear from the faculty staff advisor they are ready to go into their breakout room for APT, we will go to our academic planning time document and begin to move students in to see an advisor once we receive a Teams chat that advisors are ready for students. Prior to the start of APT, you as the ZC will send a message about expectations around academic planning time that you can find in your instructions. On the left-hand side of the APT tracking document, students' names are listed out. Our goal of APT is for students to see advisors and discuss their plans and ask questions prior to the afternoon appointment. Once I have received a Teams chat that the advisors are ready, I will go ahead and move the first student from the presentation room in to see Nicole, who is the first on our document and ready for a student. I will start by moving the student's name on the document from the left column to the advisors column with the time I am sending them, and highlight this blue on the APT tracking document. Next, I will hover over the student's name on Zoom in the breakout rooms and click Move To and send them to the advisor. Now that they have the green bubble next to their name, I know they made it into their room. When they are finished, the advisor will let me know the student is ready to return to Group A1, and I will hover over the student's name once more to move to Group A1 again. Once academic planning time is over, we will close the Zoom. You will recreate breakout rooms after lunch for the afternoon appointments. Use the schedule and roster document to count rooms needed again, and remember to include 1 to 2 extra rooms. When checking in students for their afternoon appointment, remember that we must ask for their W number in order to confirm their identity. Once the student has shared their W number, highlight the student's W number to indicate they are checked in. Next, send a chat to the advisor who is seeing the student to make sure they are ready. When the advisor lets you know they are ready, send the student to the advisor's breakout room just like we practiced before. Some final notes as a ZC. If you see names in the waiting room that you don't see on your roster, reach out to Troubleshooting. Sometimes, parents or students not listed on your roster will join the Zoom. If advisors are late at any point in the A&R day, tech issues occur, or you are in a situation you feel unsure about, remember that troubleshooting is available and here to support you. Thanks for helping!